During the first major rainstorm of last year, I heard a strange sound coming from my raised bed garden. Now, I'd spent the last few years gardening in one of the biggest cities in America, so you can imagine my surprise when I found a flock of turkeys eating my greens. Fun fact, a flock of turkeys can be called a rafter or a gaggle as well. Let's go with gaggle. Now, I was a little annoyed, but turkeys do have that so ugly it's cute vibe going on, so I let them be. But then they started coming back. And again. And again, in the end, our little gaggle of turkeys ate through hundreds, not an exaggeration, hundreds of seedlings, destroying our harvest for the entire fall season. Let me tell you, not so cute anymore. Then in the summer, a small family bird of chickens invaded our little neighborhood and laid waste, absolute carnage, to my summer garden. Not this chicken, by the way. This is Guinevere, and she is a very good girl. Oh, these were escape chickens. Feral chickens? I don't know what you want to call them. And they were cute at first, but cute turned to infuriating as they destroyed our garden every single day. Maybe our little tale sounds familiar, and maybe you, like us, don't have the option of erecting a big turkey-proof fence. Anyways, we did our research and we identified 4 much more practical, much more inexpensive solutions, and I'm happy to report it worked really, really freaking well. Either that or we got super lucky, but either way, let me show you what we did, and maybe they'll help you out as well. But first, let's put Arthur back in her coop. We installed some really cheap, really tacky Halloween decoration scarecrows. This one right here was $1, and this one right here was $7 at Home Depot and the dollar store. So they are really super cheap if you want to give them a try and see if they work out for you. Now, we put ours right at the front corner of where the turkeys enter the garden, and they do seem to have helped. The turkeys don't seem to like to get too close to them. And again, they're really, really cheap if you want to give them a shot. They are also absolutely hideous now that the holidays are past us, so we're planning to replace them with a more traditional stuffed scarecrow of our own making. What we had noticed was the chickens specifically, they weren't actually going after the veggie plants, the vegetable plants we were actually trying to grow in the garden all that much. They were going after the weeds and the bugs in between the vegetable beds. So what I did was tear out everything a little bit early at the end of summer so that I could actually get to the rows and get to the pathways in between the rows and really do a good job tidying up, getting rid of all the weeds, getting rid of all the debris, and just making the area less appealing for those chickens to go into and scratch at and do their thing. Now, the third thing we did, and frankly what I think was the most important and most effective, was tie up a whole bunch of this stuff. Now, if you've never seen this before, this is a roll of bird scare tape. It's basically just this very thin, iridescent metallic material that possesses 3 different qualities that a lot of birds just detest. First off, it does a really good job of catching and reflecting the light, which just seems to freak out birds, turkeys and smaller birds alike. Now second, if you hang up a long enough strip of this stuff, and it doesn't have to be that long, a couple feet, it just moves like crazy in the wind. It's really surprisingly lightweight and actually kind of durable. It's actually caught me by surprise a few times when I've just been out in the garden and it starts moving around seemingly of its own accord, especially when you have a ton of it around. It's not hard to kind of imagine why this would be a little bit freaky to a bird that has no idea what it is. And third, because it is such a lightweight, thin material, it makes this sort of crinkly noise whenever it moves and touches either itself or whatever it's tied to, or the ground or a nearby bush, whatever it is, it has kind of this distinctive noise. And in talking to neighbors, this stuff right here is consistently the best option for actually making a difference in terms of deterring bigger birds away from your garden. A lot of folks in this area have tried a lot of different things, and this is the one that most people seem to have found success with. This is just bird scare tape, and again, this stuff is really cheap as well if you want to give it a shot and see if it works for you. The fourth and last thing we tried was removing all of the wood chip mulch from the entire garden area. Unfortunately, the chickens just go wild for digging in this stuff. So for now, we're testing out this deep compost mulch rather than the wood chip mulch. And I have other thoughts on how effective it is. Spoiler, I think it's kind of just okay, but at least the chickens don't seem to find it so appealing. If you're struggling with turkeys eating up your garden, I really hope some of these tips help you out. Obviously, I can't know for sure that they made a difference in our garden, but I do know, and I can tell you that last fall, last winter, the turkeys destroyed our garden. This summer, the chickens destroyed our garden. We made all these changes, and then voila, this fall, this winter, no problems whatsoever. So at least we've got some pretty good correlation going on. Oh, and if you think one of these tips might help you out, I would really appreciate it if you could give the like button a quick click. Really helps us out. Definitely appreciate it, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.